Okay, great. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Dan Gustafson. I'm a senior staff attorney with Midwest Environmental Advocates. I'm joined today by my co-counsel from Legal Action of Wisconsin, attorneys Karen Rotger and Monica Kale, and hopefully soon by attorney Dennis Grzyński, who's in private practice here in Milwaukee. We're also joined by representatives of our clients and other community members who we'll introduce shortly. We're here to announce that today we are filing a lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Wisconsin on behalf of 4 environmental and social justice organizations, challenging the federal approval of a $1.75 billion plan to expand Interstate Highway 94 from 6 lanes to 8 lanes between 16th Street and 70th Street in Milwaukee, and to greatly expand the stadium interchange. One of those organizations, Milwaukee Inner City Congregations Allied for Hope, also known as MICA, is represented by Legal Action of Wisconsin. The other 3 organizations are Milwaukee Riverkeeper, Sierra Club Wisconsin Chapter, and 1,000 Friends of Wisconsin, who are jointly represented by Midwest Environmental Advocates and Dennis Grzyński. Our clients allege that the Federal Highway Administration and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation have refused to consider a reasonable alternative to the 8-lane expansion, an alternative that would incorporate a public transportation element and fix the safety and operational concerns of the corridor without expanding the highway. Instead, state and federal transportation officials used an incomplete and highly selective environmental analysis to justify moving ahead with a project that will increase our dependence on cars, add to greenhouse gas emissions, and reinforce a long-standing pattern of neglecting public transit. In addition, they have failed to consider or mitigate the disproportionate harm to the predominantly non-white residents of the project area. My organization, Midwest Environmental Advocates, is a nonprofit law center that works to secure and protect the rights of all people who live in a clean and healthy environment. MEA represents individuals and organizations who speak up and organize their communities in the face of environmental injustice. We're here today because the agency's plan represents a grave environmental injustice. Environmental, public health, and social justice organizations have been saying as much since the project was first proposed more than a decade ago. Unfortunately, transportation officials have refused to listen. Many community members who testified at public hearings during the state's environmental review process urged the state to consider the Fix at 6 alternative, a plan that would fix the safety and operational concerns of the corridor without expanding the highway. The Fix at 6 alternative also called for more investment in public transit to reduce carbon emissions and ensure equity by improving access to jobs, healthcare, and basic goods for all local residents. In response to community input, transportation officials made modest improvements to the proposal, but expanding the highway from 6 to 8 lanes and greatly expanding the stadium interchange remained the preferred option. In March, the 8-lane expansion proposal received final approval from state and federal authorities, leaving our clients with no alternative but to file suit in federal court. We will now hear from our clients and other impacted community members. There will be an opportunity for members of the media to ask questions at the end of the press conference. First, we'll hear from Pastor Richard Shaw, president of Milwaukee Inner City Congregations Allied for Hope. Pastor Shaw.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Pastor Richard Shaw, the president of MICA. And I stand here today joining these individuals behind me because we all have concerns about our environment, about health, as well as the economy. Our concern is around expanding the lanes from 6 to 8 and what that will do to those who live in this community, a community that already faces health challenges as well as health care challenges. And we believe that these funds can better serve the community through public transportation, that there are those who are in need of means to get back and forth to work, to be able to receive the health care that they need, also to just have a life of peace and a neighborhood of peace. It is known throughout other cities where we watch with 8 lanes that it really never helps. They become parking lots. And so that alone will produce more pollution. And so we're here today to speak on behalf of public transportation so that individuals can be able to, again, get to work and maintain their needs to provide for their families. So as we join each other in this moment, we push fix at 6. Let's fix what we have. Let's fix what we have when we know that to those who travel from the suburbs to downtown, that it may benefit them to get to downtown to work as well as entertainment. But what about those who live in the city? What about those whose homes and families and lives will be impacted by this expansion? So we're here today to support Fix at 6. Thank you.
Next we have Adele Nance, a member of MICA and a Milwaukee resident who relies on public transit.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adele Nance. I live on 1st Street. I drive the transportation to get back and forth to work. Right now, it's like a desert in my neighborhood because that all the money's flying going to this program that's for the highway, but I need it in my community because that I'm a worker. I had to leave a job because I didn't have the transportation to get back and forth to work. I'm a person who like to be on time. I don't like to be late for work. So I had to give up a client who depended on me for her care as for mine as a provider. So I'm asking that this progress they're doing for this program not to be for the highway, but for fixing sick, for I and many other people who need to get around for work, and to kids that need to catch the bus to go to school. We need this in our neighborhood because now our neighborhood is a desert. We need transportation. We need better transportation. We need more assistance from the city and whoever involved in this to make us be known and not unknown.
Next we have Leland Pan, a member of the Board of Directors of Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter.
Hello, my name is Leland Pan, and I'm a member of the executive committee of the Wisconsin chapter of Sierra Club. I currently live in Madison, Wisconsin, but I was until recently a resident of Pigsville, right next to I-94. In many ways, Pigsville is a microcosm of Milwaukee. It's one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the state with Black, white, Asian, and Latino residents living side by side. It's a working class neighborhood, one with a history of needing to fight for its rights. In the 1990s, the neighborhood fought to build what is now Valley Park to address flooding in Menominee River. The city's original solution was to get rid of the neighborhood entirely. In the present day, I also am proud to be one of the founders of Friends of Valley Park, engaging residents of all backgrounds to maintain our park and ensure it's welcoming for all. The I-94 expansion proposal directly negatively impacts Pigsville residents and Valley Park with no benefits for the residents. Many of my former neighbors do not own cars, which are expensive for working class residents and often unnecessary in a dense urban area. Many of the residents who do own cars commute within the city and do not need the highway. Meanwhile, the 8-lane proposal could result in 1,000 metric tons of additional greenhouse gas emissions compared to a 6-lane fix. While climate change is something that hurts all of us, the immediate impact on health, such as asthma, will be felt most harshly by the diverse and working class neighborhoods along I-94. So when the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is so committed to highway expansion, who are they trying to help? They're trying to help commuters from the suburbs. We know, thanks to Milwaukee's history, suburban residents are not demographically similar to Pigsville. Suburban residents are whiter, richer, and more car dependent. They often have the highest paid jobs in the city of Madison without paying taxes into Milwaukee. Why would we continue to subsidize this white flight that was a product of racism 50 years ago? Why would we continue to reward the past racist response to the civil rights efforts of heroes like Velar Phillips and Father Grappi? Why would we exacerbate existing vast health disparities in a city where the asthma death rate for black residents is 5 times higher than for white people? This experience feels like reliving what I learned in college about urban planners in the mid-20th century who used highways to reinforce segregation and demolish hubs of black and brown communities. That this is still a battle today is why I joined Sierra Club of Wisconsin. The fight for a sustainable, environmentally sound society is directly linked to stopping racist, classist projects like highway expansion and redirecting efforts to both help the environment and working class people, like expanding public transportation. Instead of trying to minimize the harm of an inherently harmful project, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation should live up to its name and invest in transportation for all. Ironically, they can look to Milwaukee's past if they want to see an example. Thank you.
Next, we have Ann Bowie, a volunteer and master naturalist who's a member of Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter.
Good morning and thank you. So I really come here again, still, and will again, and still, to talk for the kids, the children that live in this neighborhood right here, Story Park, Story Hill, my neighborhood, Leland's old neighborhood, Pigsville, all the neighborhoods of kids that live on either side of 94 who already suffer the harm that Leland's describing about asthma and health problems. The middle and high school kids who have lead issues from both the freeway and from pollution and from other sources, who are involved in all sorts of problems that create problems for their neighborhoods. All of those children are who we should be thinking about. Not the suburban commuters, not the people who need to get where they want to go 10 minutes faster because they can't stand to sit in 3 lanes of traffic and they need to sit, which they will, in 4 lanes of traffic. Already the construction is going to be a nightmare for those kids. Already we know that the kids in the valley, the kids in Story Park, the kids along both sides will have to listen to the noise, have to have the dust, the water pollution, the air pollution, the noise pollution. How much more do we need? Why do we have to make 3 lanes, instead of fixing it, perfectly rational, into 4 lanes, which is going to be more of the same? We don't think we can stop it. We'd love to stop it. But what we have to do is keep on thinking about the children that I work with. I volunteer with kids in the park, at the Urban Ecology Center, right across the valley, right here. They already have so much to work against. Let's not make it worse. Thank you.
Next, we have Cheryl Nen of Milwaukee Riverkeeper.
Hi, thanks for coming. My name is Cheryl Nen. I'm with Milwaukee Riverkeeper. And the increased traffic, air, and noise pollution, and also water pollution and flooding problems from continued highway expansion will disproportionately affect Black, Latino, and disadvantaged communities already located near the highway. This, together with the worsening imbalance between highway expansion and transit, and the decline of public transit services in general, will exacerbate impacts to communities of color. As a nonprofit organization that protects the water quality and wildlife of the Milwaukee River Basin, we're very concerned about the cumulative impacts on our waterways from continued highway expansion. Our rivers are already impaired by a lot of pollutants, including sediment, including road salt, and increasing the amount of paved acres of this highway by 27 acres and increasing the highway right-of-way by 54 acres will increase these and other toxic pollutants running off into local rivers. Increasing runoff to rivers, besides being bad for water quality and the aquatic life, also increases flood risk and puts many downstream communities in danger. Ultimately, highway expansion really impairs our ability to safely use our waters for things like fishing, swimming, and drinking, and threatens our communities. We need less highway expansion, we need more public transit options, and more investment in protecting our waters and in our environment, as well as protecting our communities. Thank you.
And our last speaker this morning is Carl Glazemeyer, Transportation Policy Director with 1,000 Friends of Wisconsin.
Hello, I'm Carl Glazemeyer with 1,000 Friends of Wisconsin. Our organization advocates for responsible land use and transportation decisions. We've been in this fight to oppose the expansion of I-94 for over a decade. We understand that it's an irresponsible decision. We have to look at land use and transportation together. The investment to grow this roadway will only worsen our employment and residential sprawl that we have in our region. Right now, today, we have underemployed households who cannot reliably get to employment opportunities that are farther out in the metro. We also simultaneously have business firms who cannot find enough workers to fill their jobs. Decisions like this one hurt Milwaukeeans and also hurt our region's economic vitality. It's time for us to really reconsider how we do our transportation policy and invest in a more equitable future. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our speakers for today. I did want to let everyone know that there is a press release available on MEA's website that I believe will be cross-posted to some of the other organizations' websites. That is midwestadvocates.org, and there's a press release there that has a link to the complaint that's being filed today. I'd like to thank all of our speakers for being here today to talk about the many harmful impacts of this expansion proposal. All of our speakers will be available for one-on-one interviews at the conclusion of the press conference, and at this time we'd be happy to take questions from the media.
I have a logistical question about the lawsuit specifically. Are you looking for a preliminary injunction, or what is the immediate thought of the lawsuit and then the long-term reason of the lawsuit?
So,
Step up to the podium.
sorry. Hi, I'm Karen Rotker with Legal Action of Wisconsin, represent Micah. We are filing the lawsuit. The government gets a chance to answer, and then yes, we assume that we will seek some kind of preliminary relief. We're not at that point yet. You have to. We're not at the, because you also get the record of the case. But yes, that's likely what we will be looking for.
Thank you.
Others?
Is the lawsuit going to be filed today? Are you guys going to be going to the courthouse today to file the suit?
Yes, it's probably being filed or has been filed already. Our co-counsel is in the process of filing the lawsuit right now.
And no one goes to the courthouse anymore. It gets filed electronically. So I think there have been a few technologically it can take a little while, but that is what's happening today, yes.
Can you just explain once more to our viewers what the lawsuit is specifically asking for?
The lawsuit is specifically challenging the process under the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, by which the agencies considered the impacts of the highway expansion. So that's the grounds for our challenge, is that they didn't adequately consider alternatives, and they didn't come to the right conclusion at the end of that process.
And what we're looking for is we want them to step back and reconsider the final project that they have decided, so that it does include public transportation, does not expand impervious surface. That's what we're going to be looking for, and we don't think that they considered that reasonably. And that is our goal, and that has been the goal in this case and other cases that are similar that have been done in the past.
Is it fix it 6 or nothing, or is there a remedial middle point there for you guys?
I don't think we're at, I don't think we're at the point of saying what the ultimate outcome or what our ultimate final position on this would be. But we think that a reasonable alternative that does include public transit is absolutely crucial.
So the case is filed. Does the judge have to accept the complaint and accept the case and then hear arguments and then an injunction is filed? Or would an injunction come and then arguments? Can you just kind of explain the potential process?
The case is being filed today. It will be assigned to a judge, and then there will be a scheduling conference and a response from the defendants, and the case will proceed from there. So.
And a lot of times what has happened in the past case that we've done is that you file written briefs. It's generally, these cases do not have new testimony or new witnesses. It's based on what's been submitted, and I want to point out that most of the organizations here submitted comments, hundreds of pages of comments, and possibly thousands, many hundreds and maybe thousands of pages of exhibits. So that whole record is what will be looked at. And it's, this is not going to happen next week.
And how does this case compare to the one that was actually successfully argued and won about a decade ago?
It's similar claims. I would say this is in some sense even worse because the zoo interchange was not quite as closely on top of human beings who live adjacent to the highway, but it's similar in a lot of ways.
So would it be fair to say that you guys think your complaint is stronger this time around?
I think it's at least as strong. I think it may well be stronger.
Other questions?
Can people watching this later do anything if they support your cause?
Sure, they can speak out to the decision makers. The process has already concluded, but they can certainly reach out to their elected officials and tell them how they feel about the project. Sure.
Do you feel like it makes this stronger having different community groups, some focused on environment, some on transportation, some on neighborhood? Do you feel that adds any sense or urgency to this, having them come together?
I think there are a lot of reasons to oppose the project, and those are represented here in the plaintiffs and the other people that have spoken out against it. So, yeah, I think that does make it stronger. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Move away.